consumers find a local business has evolved over time. Very few people today go out and hire a service, whether it's a car repair or a spa treatment, without looking online for trusted local vendors and consumer feedback. In fact, over 57% of consumers research a local business online before visiting it in person, and 9 out of 10 read reviews before making a decision. We'll get into those details more in a minute, but the core question is, what does it take to be the business that comes up when someone searches the World Wide Web for a shop next door? Well, here to help us figure that out are 3 experts in local search and online marketing. First, we'll hear from Phil Frost, founder and COO of Main Street ROI, and the author of Target Marketing's own Search Made Simple blog. Phil's marketing thought leadership has been published on Forbes.com, Inc.com, MSN.com, and many other major business media outlets. He leads Main Street ROI's training programs and is also an expert in online advertising, marketing analytics, and sales funnel optimization. And then after Phil, we'll hear from Heidi Burns, Senior Product Marketing Manager with Bizarre Voice. Heidi is a leader in technology marketing with over 10 years of experience developing and launching products for both large enterprises and startups. These days, her focus is on solutions that allow businesses to reach more consumers earlier in the consumer decision journey using digital word of mouth. She's an expert on how to use ratings and reviews, local marketing, and online consumer behavior to boost your brand. She does a lot of speaking on this, and I'm really excited to hear what she has to say. And wrapping us up will be Tyler Brewer, SEO supervisor at Havas Media, which has been responsible for a very successful Safelite Autoglass campaign. Now, Tyler's going to take us into the actual case study of what they did with Safelite and how you can apply that to your own business. You know, it's 3 really, really excellent speakers today. I'm very happy we can bring them to you. But before we begin, just give me a second to point out a few tips on how to make the most of this webinar. First, you can download the slides for the presentation today in PDF format directly from the webinar client by clicking on the download button. Second, we will be doing a live Q&A at the end of the hour. You can submit your questions at any time using the Q&A tab, and we'll get to as many as we can. Feel free to tweet any of the tips you hear today. Our hashtag is #TMGWebinar, and if you use the Twitter widget in this console, it'll fill that in automatically. We'll be following the handle and retweeting them from the Target Marketing account, and I'll also be trying to catch some and retweet from my own personal TM Thorin account. And finally, if you want more content like this, please click on the subscribe button in the console to sign up for a complimentary subscription to Target Marketing. And now, without further delay, Phil, please go ahead.
All right, thank you, Thorin. I think I just pushed the slide there. All right, so I'm going to walk through grassroots SEO. Again, my name is Phil Frost. I'm the founder of Main Street ROI. And here's what we're going to cover during my session. I'm going to talk through what is local SEO and why is it such a big opportunity, especially for businesses looking to attract local customers. We'll talk about how to ensure Google showcases your particular business when your prospects are searching. And as Thorin mentioned, we'll have Q&A at the very end once everyone gets a chance to walk through their presentation. So again, who am I? Why should you listen to me? My name is Phil Frost, founder of Main Street ROI. We provide digital marketing services to Main Street type businesses looking to attract local customers and clients and patients. To date, we've helped over 2,000 businesses. And as Thorin already said, my thought leadership has been featured in sites like Forbes, Inc., Amex, as well as Mashable. And I'm also the very proud father of those 2 cute kids there. That's my daughter, Violet. She just turned 3 years old in January 2nd. And then that's my latest addition to the family, Emmett. Looks like deer caught in headlights there. And that's my beautiful wife, Erin. And we are located in the Upper West Side of Manhattan. And that's our apartment there. All right, so what is local SEO? Most people on the line are probably familiar with what we call standard or traditional SEO, but you might not be familiar with, quote, local SEO. And there is a pretty significant difference. So most people are familiar with standard SEO. That's when Google is actually ranking websites, in particular articles or maybe a product page on the website. And then there's local SEO, and that's when Google has determined that someone is specifically searching and looking for a place, essentially. And when that happens, Google now showcases business information And you've probably noticed they also show a map, like Google Maps, and they show the location of the businesses on that map. So the key difference with standard SEO, and until recently that's really all there was, you were really focused on ranking just your website. But now with local SEO, and this is a big opportunity because I'll show you in a minute, Google is actually giving prominent placement to local businesses on the first page and actually pushing down those website rankings for standard SEO. So with local SEO, you're actually ranking the local business profile, or more specifically for Google, you've probably heard of the Google My Business page, or Google Plus Local, or Google Maps. It's had a lot of name changes over the years, but now it's called Google My Business. So here's an example. I did this recently. You can actually tell by the logo in the upper left corner. I did this on Martin Luther King Day. So I typed in types of auto insurance. You can see that at the top. I'll gray out the advertisers. For anyone on the line that's not familiar with Google AdWords, right, those gray boxes are surrounding the advertisers. So those guys have to pay to be placed on the first page of Google. And when someone clicks on those listings, those advertisers pay for those clicks. That's why it's called pay-per-click advertising. So we're not talking about those. Right here I'm giving you an example of standard SEO listings, and you can see right there, ranks number 1, 21st.com. Those are web pages that are ranking. That's what we think of when we think of SEO. And now I want to show you an example of local SEO. So you can tell by the search, in this case, Best Insurance Agent 77042. That's someone searching for an insurance agent with that zip code. So someone's searching for a local agent. And Google knows when someone throws a zip code in the search, they're highly likely looking for a local business. So what have they done? You can actually see right there, front and center. That's the most prominent section of the page. That's what draws my attention, at least. That is Nationwide Insurance. That's a local insurance agent, and it shows all of their contact information. You can see the map in the upper right corner, so you know exactly where they're located, hours of operation, phone number, and also reviews, which we'll touch on soon. So you can see they're giving kind of the highest value real estate of their homepage here for that particular search to a local business. And you can see over here the standard SEO that we're all familiar with. Just another example, I did a search for a nearby dentist. I'm in New York City on 23rd Street, so that's why you see the map here showing local dentists near my office. And again, front and center, once you get past the ads, there's 2 advertisers on top, then your eyes are drawn to that map, and you can see below the map the names of all the nearby dentists. So that's what we're talking about today. We're talking about this local SEO and how to get your business to be showcased. And just really quickly, I want to touch on why Google is actually showcasing businesses and why they've actually overhauled their homepage to make local businesses front and center. So here's a quote from Ed Parsons of Google, and he wrote about 1 in 3 queries, so that's what people are searching, search terms, that people just type into a standard Google search are about places, and they're about finding out information about locations. So again, 1 in 3 of all searches are actually for locations, and that's why Google responded by changing their search results. But also your local customers actually prefer to use search. And here's another interesting stat from Web Visible, and they found that 86% of people use the internet to find a local business, and 72% prefer to find that information on local merchants via search. So that's obviously the majority of folks now are going to Google, Bing, and Yahoo and searching to find local businesses. Not only that, they're doing it very frequently. Another survey here from Bright Local, 29% of consumers search for local businesses at least every week. So not only are they, the majority, doing it once a year, but they're doing it very frequently, every week. And then 9 out of 10 read online reviews before making a buying decision. So that's going to be critical. We'll talk more about that, and Heidi will talk even more in depth about reviews. But just know that your customers are definitely searching. That's based on a lot of surveys that have been done, and people are searching very frequently. And then what are they looking for? They're actually looking for reviews to make that buying decision. All right, so that's enough background. We want to talk about how to actually get your business ranked #1 in Google. That's what everyone wants to know. Let's go through the steps right now. So the first step is pretty straightforward. You just need to create and verify, again, your Google My Business profile. That's the URL right there, google.com/pages/create. And you simply select a storefront or a service area. And that is, there's an important distinction there, whether or not you have a storefront or an office where customers or clients come to you, or you might have a service area where nobody really comes to your office or your store. You travel to the customers or clients. So depending on your particular business, you want to select a storefront or a service area. Then you want to just follow the steps and add all the information that Google allows you to add. It's important to fill out your profile completely. Google wants to obviously display businesses that have a lot of information, have robust profiles. That looks good in their search results. But also your prospects who are doing the searches are going to want to click on your business and learn more about you. And having more information is going to lead to more prospects actually taking action. So make sure you fill out the profile completely. That is an important step. And then finally, you want to verify that you are in fact the owner of that business, or you have permission to set up that account. And you can set that. You can go through that verification either by phone or email, or sorry, mail, direct mail. And then for all the folks on the line that have multiple locations, you actually need to go through these steps for every single location. So if you have an office in every state in the U.S., you would have 50 locations. You need to go and create a Google My Business account in all 50 locations, and obviously make sure all that information is accurate. Okay, so now we've got the profile set up. That gets you into the running to actually show up on the first page of Google when your prospects are searching. Now we want to optimize both your website and your Google My Business page so that you are in fact displayed higher than your competitors. The first step is to optimize your website. Your website does have an impact. I mentioned before Google's actually ranking your Google My Business profile, but your website does play a role in this. And more specifically, the website, the web page that you're linking to from your profile plays an important role. So what I'm saying here is that let's say you have multiple locations, you want to create a location landing page for each of your offices or your stores. And that would be the web page that you link to from your Google My Business profile. And that's the next bullet there. If you're familiar with HTML, then you would know that each page has what's called a title tag. If you're not familiar, don't worry. Your web developer or webmaster will know exactly what a title tag is. And what you want to do is just add your city, state, and zip code to the title of the page. For example, I gave the dentist's nearby search example before. A dentist would want in the title of their page New York, New York 10011, and that's the zip code here. Google actually uses that as a signal to show, to make sure that that is in fact a local business, and they deserve to be ranked when someone's looking for a dentist nearby. So next, you want to match the contact information on your landing pages. And by that I mean you really need to have the information, especially the contact information, to be 100% consistent on your pages and your Google My Business profile page. And we'll talk later about other directories as well. You want to make sure all of that contact information is 100% consistent. That's another signal that Google is going to look for. And then finally, this is fairly technical, but it's becoming more and more important. I recommend you add what's called schema code to the contact information on your landing pages. If you're not familiar with schema code, don't worry. This is, again, would be something you'd hand off to your webmaster or web developer, and they would just add this code. It's basically HTML code that you put on your business name, the address, the phone number, and that makes it very easy for Google to find your name, address, and phone number. You're explicitly telling them, hey, this is where our name is, this is our address, and then Google can easily match that to the information that's in your business listing. That's optimizing your website. And step 3 is getting citations, which is going to build up your profile's authority and boost your rankings. If you're not familiar with a citation, it's basically just a mention of your business name, address, and phone number mentioned anywhere online. And typically, this is done through business directories, and every directory will list your name, address, and phone number. That counts as a citation. And it essentially it gives Google confidence that your information is accurate. So Google allows any business to set up a Google My Business account. You can go in there and put any name in, an address and a phone number, and verify it. But Google needs to be certain that that information is correct. And one signal that they look at is, are there other citations or other mentions of your business online? So by having a lot of citations on other legitimate directories, that's a great signal for Google to confirm that you are a legitimate business. And if you're familiar with standard SEO, then you know that links are really important, and you want to get relevant links from other related websites, and you want them to be on other legitimate websites that have strong reputations. And you can think of it analogous to links in the term in that citations are similar to links. The more links you have, the better your standard SEO rankings are. The more citations or more high quality citations you have, the higher your local rankings. And also, just by creating accounts in a lot of business directories, you're just naturally going to create backlinks. So it's kind of a double benefit here. You kill two birds with one stone. You get the citation from that directory listing, and you also get the benefit of that backlink, which will in turn help your standard SEO. So everyone on the line, I recommend you use this tool to audit any of your locations. You just go to moz.com/local. It's a very easy tool to use. You type in, I believe you start with your zip code or your business name, and then it searches for your information, and it gives you a score from 0 to 100%. And it basically looks for whether or not you do have the right citations set up, if you have some of the main business directory accounts set up, and whether or not that information is consistent across the accounts. And it gives you that score. And if you find that you have a low score, it basically tells you, hey, you need to set up the missing directories. Or if you have inconsistent information, you need to go in there and edit that information so that it is all consistent across the board. And then finally, in addition to using that tool, that's not going to do a full audit. It's really just looking at some of the main directories that you should be set up in. Then it comes down to doing your own homework and looking for local directories. For example, most cities are going to have a Chamber of Commerce type business directory that you could get listed in. And then you could have industry-specific type directories. For example, attorneys would want to be listed in AVO, avvo.com. That's a great one for attorneys. So each business is going to have unique directories for that particular industry. And then depending on your location, you'll have location-specific directories that you can go out and create accounts on. And again, the goal there is to create what are called citations. And the more legitimate citations you have, that will increase what's called your local SEO authority, which will naturally boost you up in the rankings. Now, step 4 is to get ongoing reviews. I hinted at this earlier. And there are really two important reasons why you need reviews. It is a signal for local SEO. So the more reviews you have and the more consistently you're getting reviews, and by that I mean, let's say you get a review every month, is actually better than just getting 12 reviews in January and then not getting any reviews the rest of the year. So you want to have a consistent stream of reviews, and that is a great signal for Google that you're one, a legitimate business because you're getting reviews, you have customers, and you're probably providing quality products and services, and that's why you're getting those positive reviews. But in addition to that, I mentioned 9 out of 10 consumers are going to want to see reviews to make that buying decision. So by getting more reviews, that's going to lead to higher sales conversions. At the end of the day, it's not enough to get ranked locally. You can follow these steps, get your business to rank on the first page of Google. That doesn't do anything for you. You really need those prospects to take action and actually call you or come to your store, whatever it takes to complete that final transaction. And to do that, consumers are now expecting to see reviews on those pages. They want to read who has done business with you, see if it's worth their time to actually make that trip to your store. I do want to touch on one kind of sticking point here that I hear over and over again from businesses. They get a little bit too worried about bad reviews. Obviously, you don't want bad reviews, but since it's just so easy for people to go on and leave negative reviews, and unfortunately, it tends to be more motivation to leave negative reviews than there is to leave positive reviews. It's bound to happen that you will get some bad reviews, but I just want to hopefully address that concern so you're not too freaked out. What they found is that customers actually trust reviews more when there are, in fact, negative reviews. And I know personally, when I'm reading about a business, and I've done this before, I'll read the reviews, and they're all glowing reviews, 5 out of 5, I immediately think those are fake reviews. There's just no way that would ever happen, especially if there's more than 5 or 10 reviews and they're just all glowing reviews. That really just doesn't happen, and most consumers are going to be skeptical of that. So it actually makes you look better if you have a few, not so positive reviews. Obviously, you don't want super negative comments on your page, but getting a few what you would think is not a great review is not the end of the world. But I do encourage you to make sure you respond to them, and if you actually get an alert if you get a review, you do want to take a look at that and address any issues that might have come up, and that's going to make sure that if anyone stumbles across that review, that'll show that you actually cared enough to respond to it, and then be able to put out any fires that might have been started based on that review. And then a question you're always going to ask is, how do you get reviews? And it really comes down to asking. There's no secret sauce. I think of it similar to getting referrals. You need to be asking, and you need to have a system in place to be asking every customer, or at least every happy customer, to go place a review online. Now, with that said, I do realize not everyone has the resources to put a system in place, and there are online services out there to help you get reviews. And I hope at this point you see the importance of reviews. It is worth it if you're not going to make sure that you do ask every customer. I do encourage you to get help to actually get that in place, not only to help your rankings, but also help your conversions once people do, in fact, find you online. All right, so 3 key takeaways from my section here. First, your customers are, in fact, searching for you. I hope I proved that with some of the survey data, and they want to see reviews before making that buying decision. Google wants to showcase local businesses on their first page. They've actually changed the way they display their homepage for certain searches. I gave you the example of the insurance agent in Houston, where in the upper right corner, really the biggest part of the page was dedicated to a local business. So that's clearly prime real estate if you can get your business ranked there. And then just kind of looking ahead here, local SEO is definitely not going anywhere. It is fairly new, and it's actually growing in importance, and that's because of the growth of mobile devices. Google also uses that as a signal. Most mobile devices have GPS signals, so Google knows where that person is searching, and Google just wants to make sure they're showing the best results possible. So if you're searching on your mobile phone, Google will take into account location and give preference to the local businesses that have followed the steps that I've outlined today. And with that, I'll hand it over to Heidi.
Okay, great. Thanks, Phil. Hi, everyone. My name is Heidi Burns, and I am really excited to join you today. I'm a marketer at Bazaar Voice. I'm speaking to you live from Austin, Texas, and I'm going to talk to you about local marketing strategies. So Phil just talked to you a lot about local SEO, what it is, and why it's important for your business to understand the difference between local and standard SEO strategies. I want to dive further into these online techniques that you can use to win the local consumer. So what I'm going to be focusing on is online reviews, something that Phil just touched on as well, but really going a bit further into why reviews on local web pages are important. Another thing I thought Phil mentioned is that it's a signal for local SEO. And so we're going to really touch on that. So you may or may not be thinking about reviews as part of your marketing strategy for your business, but believe it or not, online reviews and online word-of-mouth content is an important part of how you can win today's local consumers. So who is BV? So Bazaar Voice. Bazaar Voice, we're about giving consumers the confidence to choose you. We have over 10 years experience cultivating conversations and turning content into marketing assets. to help businesses reach and convert more consumers. So we work with over 3,500 major brands and retailers, and we see over 700 million unique shoppers in our network every month. We know word-of-mouth content, or as we like to say it here, consumer-generated content, or CGC, which I'll refer to a lot throughout this talk. So we're keeping our pulse on everything local marketing, and I'm going to really talk to you about why it's become increasingly important to embrace CGC online, on local pages, and how you can use it as one of your strongest local marketing tools. But first, let me just recap a few themes that Phil mentioned and actually Thorin alluded to at the beginning. Now, your local customers are searching for you, and they want to read reviews before buying. In fact, we know that over half of today's searches are local searches. Increasingly, we're using mobile to do those searches. We're looking for that content to validate a business before we engage with it, and we want that feedback from other people like us, recent relevant feedback. So in today's dynamic marketplace, whether you're a business owner or a marketer of, let's say, 10 locations or maybe even 1,000 national locations, you should be asking yourself, are you being found online for the search terms that matter to you? Do you know, have you done a search for your own business on all types of devices, a PC, a tablet, desktop, mobile, from different geolocations? Do you show up on page 1 for those search terms that matter? So let's just take a look at a few examples. So most of us search for terms like this. Let's say best lawn care in the area, a discount mattress store in Jacksonville. Going back to the insurance agent example, all of these are examples of local searches. What did you notice in these results? The top results in the Google Map Pack, that map piece, or local results, and the organic results have ratings and reviews. That star summary and the number of reviews, those are called rich snippets. And we see that search engines clearly favor this content. Why? Because it indicates a satisfying user experience with that brand, with that locale. And as a consumer looking to make a decision, it's compelling for us, right? The majority of us are doing research online to find a trusted vendor before we commit to their service, before we actually take time out of our day and go visit a location. So when we select a business, we tend to click on the results with reviews before those without. And what are we looking for? Generally positive feedback related to what we want to buy. In other words, a good reputation. So once we click through to a site with consumer-generated content, we can all easily see if other people like ourselves find that the experience of that location satisfying. So look at this experience. This is H&R Block. It's a specific location and has a number of positive reviews. So this makes it really easy for me to make that decision to visit this specific H&R Block office to do my taxes, something that I really just don't want to do, but I know that others like me have had a good experience there. So I would guess that everyone on this call has been influenced by stars and ratings, online consumer feedback. We now require it as part of our purchase decision, especially when we're looking for a service in a new location or one you've never tried before. At Bazaar Voice, we see that reviews convert prospects, they drive leads. Through our research, we've actually found that businesses with online reviews are 5 times more likely to receive an inquiry from a potential customer than those without online reviews. So a pretty interesting stat there, I think. We consistently measure engagement and see that products and services with review content always get more engagement than those without it. So what does this mean for you as a business owner or a marketer? It's pretty simple, I think. You should have a review strategy in place. In fact, most businesses already know this, as you can see here, and are making ratings and reviews a priority. If you've not considered then leveraging the power of CGC, I recommend putting it on your list of local marketing strategies to consider. And just to drive the point home with some more compelling stats, across all age groups, we as consumers trust this content. We really expect it before we're making a purchase decision. And the benefit to you as a local business owner is, of course, more leads, more sales, and more insights. So if fresh content, preferably in the form of reviews, converts more prospects and drives more leads, where should you start? It's a good question. So at Bazaar Voice, we believe winning the local consumer really starts with answering these three questions. How do your customers find you? How do your customers feel about you? And what does consumer or customer feedback help you with? But first, in the spirit of feedback, I have a few poll questions for the audience that I would like to ask you guys. So the first one here, do you actively monitor your reputation across third-party sites like Yelp and Google? If you don't mind, if you could just click on it and answer yes or no. So while you're doing that, Yelp and Google Plus are the two most significant players when it comes to third-party review sites. Really the reach they have and the impact they have on influencing consumer choice. So love it or hate it, it's important to know your ratings on those sites. You really can't ignore it. They're not going away. So I'm really curious to know from you all who's actively monitoring their reputation on these sites. Okay, yep, it looks like 60% of you are actively monitoring it, which is something I would expect. I think most people recognize that this is important these days. For those of you that aren't, it is definitely something I think to put on your radar. Phil covered really the importance of Google when it comes to local SEO and winning the local consumer. Obviously, you need to have that Google My Business page and make sure that your listings are correct across the directories, as well as your reputation, especially on those two sites. Okay, so the next question. Do you ask for your own reviews or customer testimonials and display them on your site? Just yes or no. So while you're doing that, I find this to be an interesting question. As we just saw with the poll results, most of you have a pulse on your reputation, but how many of you are actually proactively managing it and owning that conversation? Let's see. Okay, so it's about 50-50 here. Some of you already have a review strategy in place to proactively ask for feedback, and others of you don't, which is pretty, I think, typical with what we see out there. And there's definitely various types of tools you can use depending on the scale of your business, whether you're just a single location or a multinational location. Different tools will meet your needs to get content, but it is something that I highly encourage. So finally, you might already know this based on what I've been talking about, but do you think it's more important to monitor third-party sites or manage your own CGC? So either third-party sites, manage your own CGC, or both. So I often get this question, how should we be prioritizing and managing feedback? When it comes to organic results for local search, really to have the most success in improving where you're found online, you want to capture feedback and put it on your site, so capture your own reviews. So not only will you then be infusing your website with fresh content that search engines love, that really continues to renew itself the more you ask for feedback, which is ideal. You're providing a valuable and relevant information set to the consumer and taking control of that conversation by having content on your site. So remember, when consumers go to third-party sites, they're often distracted, by competitor ads that are posted there while reading about your business. So owning that conversation really is a great way to understand why consumers like you, but also to get that uplift in local SEO. So let's see what the results say here. Both, yeah, exactly. And there's clearly both are important based on what I just covered. Okay, so very interesting results, but getting back to the question of local marketing and where to start. Phil had focused on the grassroots techniques to being found when it comes to local and organic search. Another important element that I've alluded to and teed up with the poll questions is being found on third-party sites, knowing your reputation across those sites and owning your own content. You need to ensure you have that presence on Google, Yelp, and Facebook, as well as those other search engines and directories and third-party sites. It's especially important that all your business listings are correct across them as well. The ranters and even the ravers are going to seek you out to provide feedback, regardless if you're in the driver's seat of this. So you should have a pulse on what they're saying. to ensure the experience you're providing and is consistent across the web. So really, knowing what's going on across those sites is as important as owning the conversation. And so, as I mentioned, another way to be found is owning the conversation. So proactively starting it with your customers. 50% of you looks like you already have a tool to integrate that content on your site. Really, I applaud you. Thumbs up for that. I think that's a fantastic first step when it comes to local SEO. And I'm really not going to go into much more detail here, as our next speaker, Tyler, is going to dig into how one of his clients has seen great success with their online owned review programs. But I did just want to highlight knowing how your customers feel about you and really getting that snapshot of your reputation across the web. I've obviously touched on this here. And if you don't have a way to do that easily, especially if you're a multinational or business with a ton of different locations, we at Bazaar Voice can run a reputation audit for you to really see what people think about you across all those sites. So getting that snapshot is important, but then ultimately, what's your goal, right? You want to look good. Think about it. As a consumer, if you've just had a solid experience getting your car repaired or buying insurance or at a pet daycare, and that business then asks you for feedback, we're all inclined to write a positive review, or more inclined at least. At Bazaar Voice, we see that proactively initiating the conversation results on average of a 4.2 rating, sometimes higher. So some of us, may have had a bad experience, and as a local business owner, you should accept that feedback too. I know Phil really went into this. Don't be scared about bad reviews. Just respond proactively. We're all going to get negative reviews from time to time. You need to just embrace it. And then finally, to the last question, how does customer feedback help you? And what do you need to improve? So use consumer feedback to see trends and customer sentiment. It's really an amazing asset to understand what your consumers' experience is like and where you can improve. For example, if you got a lot of negative reviews that reference the word delivery, you could identify that theme and then obviously think through a resolution to improve that experience. The local content matters. Remember that search engines like Google are striving to send users to websites that have fresh, relevant content. So infuse yours with this feedback to convert more online shoppers to offline buyers. And to sum it up, when it comes to local marketing, really my overall recommendation is to manage your listings and have local pages to impact local and organic search. Cultivate your customers using a review engine to initiate feedback and spark that conversation. And then place that conversation on local pages to amplify that customer experience with your brand and impact where you rank in search. Finally, stay on top of your online reputation and don't let those third-party review sites define your presence online. Ask for reviews and learn from that insight, and by doing this, you're going to be able to optimize your local presence and win more local consumers. So that's all I have for you today. Next, you're going to hear about a case study from a brand that did just that. So let me pass it over to Tyler. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Heidi. Hi, everyone. My name is Tyler Brewer. I'm the SEO supervisor at Havas Media Boston. So today you learned what local SEO is, why it's important. So today I wanted to bring you through a real client example using a case study that I wrote to show the importance of engaging your local customers through SEO. So the client we'll be examining today is Safelite. It is Safelite Autoglass. It is the nation's only windshield repair and replacement company. Now when I say only, I mean it's the only one nationwide. So we have over 500 service locations, brick and mortar locations, and over 6,500 mobile auto glass shops. So you can imagine that we need to cast a pretty wide net when we're looking for new audiences. We serve about 90% of the U.S., so local searches are extremely important to the business. And looking from January to May of 2015, approximately 30% of our organic search traffic went to locally optimized store pages. So as I mentioned, no other autoglass repair brands are nationally based, but our regional competition is pretty stiff. There's a lot of mom and pop shops out there. So how do we differentiate Safelite as a national brand amongst its local competitors? How do we convey its commitment to local consumers through organic search? And how do we achieve this at the national level? So leveraging Bazaar Voice, Safelite incorporated ratings and review technology on each of their store pages and allowed users to leave feedback about their experience at each location. By doing this, this is creating transparency. As was mentioned before, we are monitoring the reviews. We're not hiding any negative reviews, and that transparency translates to an overall positive experience with the brand, as well as providing indexable content through the reviews and user-generated content, as well as those schema markups within the search engine results page. So how do we know that local ratings and reviews are helping SEO? So first of all, search engines love structured data. They love seeing the ratings. They love seeing the reviews within the search. It helps them determine what kind of content it is. But the ratings and reviews are also unique content. They can be found directly on the page. It doesn't exist in multiple locations. And that's really what's important for any SEO, is that it is unique content that lives within the brand. And it's also static content. It's not being generated from multiple servers. Google has difficulties reading JavaScript, but pretty recently they've done an update where you can actually read into any JavaScript that you are using, and that content can be indexed. So Google is coming really, really far and just provides a lot of opportunity for people. And so these ratings and reviews for Safelite were implemented in January of 2015. So basically what we did here is we compared the first 5 months of 2015 to 2014. And what we found was we saw the site had just over a 10% lift in organic search traffic. That's due to a number of reasons: constant on-page optimization, off-page optimization. We manage the listings for Safelite as well, but then paid media investment is also going to play a part of that in increasing demand. However, parts of the site improve differently, and that's what I kind of want to dig into. So visits to locally optimized store pages grew about 128% year over year, whereas we only saw a 68% bump to the home page. So people are searching on local terms like windshield repair replacement Columbus or windshield repair Boston, and our listings are showing up and being directed to our store pages and really funneling that, in-market traffic to the information that they need. And this was at a time when our paid advertising for Safelite is going to be the most consistent year over year. So we definitely wanted to, take into account any paid media that was running at that time. And this local SEO tactic was really critical to improving site traffic year over year. It's going to touch all of the signals of local relevance. It's got the user-generated content, it's got ratings, and it has local information. So this local optimization is keeping the site fresh. It's expanding the SERP presence for better click-through rates. It's going to make a more likable and more clickable result for you, and gives the consumers insight into what they're about to experience when they're looking for windshield repair and replacement. So in essence here, we're providing an overall better user experience for users and the engines. We use what local customers had to say about their experience at each Safelite location to foster brand trust and showing all the reviews. And we leveraged the right technology to improve that local visibility. And I also just wanted to say, if we haven't got to any questions yet, we're going to save a little bit of time right now to go back to Q&A. And I just wanted to pass it back. Thank you very much, everyone.
Tyler, thank you very much. Didn't quite realize you were going to pass it back that quickly, but that is okay. So we do have a lot of questions that came in during the presentations. If you're listening, you can still submit more questions using the Q&A box below. And to kick us off, I wanted to take a look at that reviews question, and we've dealt with this a little bit, but I just kind of want to close the loop on it. So if you do have a negative review on some of these review sites, and we talked a lot about how you should proactively respond to it, what you should do to it from almost a brand point of view. Is there a way to dispute it and get it taken down? Are there any processes for that? Heidi, do you have any ideas?
Yeah, so it definitely depends on if you're talking about on third-party sites versus your own content. I know with Bazaar Voice, one of the things that really is our sweet spot is we actually have a team of moderators. So if you are a business with a number of different locations, really the benefit of working with us and some of the things that we can do is moderate that content and flag anything that might seem false or negative or look like it's coming from that same IP address. But yeah, absolutely on the other third-party sites, there is definitely a way to try and dispute them. I just know that the lag time is sometimes a challenge on those sites. So that's why we really advocate kind of owning your content, because at the end of the day, you don't want to leave it up to all those other sites to define your reputation.
So when you say the lag, I mean, can you give us an idea of what that lag time is? Are we talking 6 months to get a response, or a couple weeks, a couple days?
Yeah, so on the third-party sites, it really can depend. I know that it sometimes is a challenge to get a response, and so it can be depending on your account level with those sites. It can be weeks and months, but yeah, I'm not necessarily an expert on every single one for the third-party sites on the timing.
Okay. What about Phil? Have you had any experience with that? How long does it take for something like that to go through?
One of our clients had a negative review, and it was actually a personal attack on the receptionist at a dental office. And we spoke with Google support, and they would not take it down because it was from a real Google account, and according to their terms and service, they allow any reviews. It wasn't like super nasty. It was just clear to our client that this person just didn't like the receptionist on a personal level. But
okay.
yeah, that's been my experience trying to get stuff removed. It sounds like Heidi possibly has a similar experience where it can take a while, and in some cases they just don't even take it down if they think it could be a legitimate review.
Yeah, and Phil, just to build off of that, Thorne, real quick, one of the things we recommend is really just to proactively ask for feedback too. If you have a customer if you have customers that come in, we really want to direct them to those sites maybe where there are fake ones, where they've had a positive experience, so that you can continue to accrue positive feedback and really drown out that negative voice.
Okay. Yeah, and it does seem like really the most effective way to deal with it is to have a lot of other positive reviews that do let everyone see who's looking, that it kind of floats to the top. I wanted to get into a specific question here, Phil. This is actually on your presentation. One of our listeners is asking. They were told that the content should be the same on all directory listings, but directory listings are all different. They allow different amounts of content. How do you standardize that so kind of you can apply your content throughout the different directories?
Yeah, it's a great question, and what I would recommend everyone use a spreadsheet, so either Excel or Google spreadsheet, and put your so basically have a column for each location. And just make sure your business name is in there correctly, the address, the phone number, date founded, all the basic information that a directory would ask for. And then it's just basically data entry at that point, and someone can just go to the account and copy and paste the information. That's the recommended method if you're going to do it manually.
Okay. And actually, Tyler, we haven't heard from you from any of these Q&As. How did you approach that with Safelite?
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question?
Sure. So one of our
Sorry about that. I just want to make sure I have it straight.
Yeah. So one of our listeners was asking, if the idea is to have the same content on all the local directories, but all the local directories have different standards for how much content they'll allow and how they'll allow it. How do you manage that process across the different local sites we were talking about?
It's really going to depend, and what's most important is really just the name, the address, and the phone number. And that's really been my experience, is that through the local directories, if they're allowing any more information, it's just to better direct their traffic within the directories. As far as how the search engines are generating the rankings, they're pulling from all of those sources. They're pulling from all of those directories. They're pulling from within their internal resources to do so. So it's really just the name, the address, the NAP that's going to be the most important. And any content that you're adding to your local landing pages, to your local listings, in your Google My Business descriptions, that's just going to incrementally give you more relevance, but it's really going to be that key feature, the name, address, and phone.
So was that, we didn't get too deeply into the Safelite case study, but I would like, so when you were doing this for Safelite, what was, what do you think was really key for the success there? What allowed Safelite to have that kind of growth using these local strategies?
Yeah, certainly. I definitely think it was a partnership with Bazaar Voice. Bazaar Voice worked with us in Safelite pretty extensively to make sure that all of the reviews are being indexed on the site, that we are storing all of that content on our own servers. But obviously, Bazaar Voice is constantly evolving their technology alongside what Google is. So yeah, it was really just the implementation. A lot of SEO is people coordinating. And really that's what I found was, the most overarching high-level success was making sure all the right implementation folks are on the phone, all the right tech people are on the phone, and all the right account managers are on the phone. Yeah, that's at the highest level what I think was probably the greatest driver of success.
That's interesting. At that level, it really comes down to, we call it SEO, and we think of it as something that happens in a computer, but it really comes down to what happens with the people on the ground implementing it. Heidi, what about you? Can you give us any more perspective on what made that a success?
Yeah, just to build off of what Tyler said and what you just alluded to there is that, SEO is obviously, there's a lot that goes into it, and a big part of that is the coordination in the teams. But we do have technologies in place to ensure that we are tagging the content in the most appropriate way so that it's being indexed by Google and the search engines, which is really what you're trying to go for. So we're staying on top of those technologies as a company and investing and innovating and ensuring that we're working with our customers so that they can improve their results on local pages. And so a lot of that was just a collaboration across the technical teams and also, getting the field teams engaged to ask for feedback. Phil mentioned it, I mentioned it, but an important part of the success of using content on your local sites to impact search results is, at the end of the day, that person that is at the cash register providing the service asking for feedback. So that's when you're going to get your most positive feedback, and you're going to you have to continue to get it right so that you get that fresh content and it doesn't get old.
All right. Now, I do want to get in one more question here, and the reason I'm going for this one is because I think it's confusion that a lot of people might have. Phil, this is directed to you, but I think it could come from good anybody. Now, you had talked about the local My Business page, and one of our listeners is asking, is that the same thing as a Google Plus page? And if not, why are they different? Can you sum that up real quick?
Yeah, it's super confusing. It essentially is now the same. Google has just changed names over the years from Google Maps to Google Plus to now Google My Business. And the most critical part is to make sure you have the correct one set up. So you might have a Google Plus brand page, and that's actually not the correct page. You want to make sure you have a storefront or a service area so that, I know we're running out of time here. If you need more clarification, just shoot an email to support@mainstreetroi.com. I can clarify that for you, but it is important if you set one up a while ago to make sure you have the correct one set up, and then you have to merge the accounts.
Gotcha. All right, and actually, just to follow up on that last point you made, so Bizarre Voice will be doing their best to follow up on all the questions that we didn't quite get to today. In addition, we'll pull in Phil and pull in Tyler where we can. We're sorry we got a little clipped tight on time at the end here. Thank you all for submitting your questions, though, and thank you all for being a great audience today. So just on behalf of Target Marketing, our speakers Phil, Heidi, and Tyler, and our sponsor Bizarre Voice, thank you all for attending today's event. Be sure to check out our webinar page to get information on all of our archived and upcoming webinars. Also, please take just a minute to fill out the brief feedback survey that will appear on your screen next. Your feedback will influence the webinars we bring you in the future. Thank you again. Have a great day.